Hi, everyone. There's a few people still coming into the waiting room, so I'm letting them in and we will get started in just about 2 minutes. And I'm going to make sure to hit record. So if there are other people at your school who are not able to attend today's training or the one we'll offer on Monday afternoon of May 6th, then we'll post the recording on our website for folks to watch if they would like to. Yeah, the waiting room entries have slowed down a lot, so I will go ahead and get started. And like I mentioned, this training is being recorded so that we can make it available to school staff who need to know this information, but may not be able to join either of the virtual options available, including today. We will also offer this training again in duplicate. Same information. So if you're here today, you don't need to attend the next option, which is scheduled to be held on the afternoon of Monday, May 6th, from 2 until 3:30 in the afternoon Central Time. So that's 1 to 2:30 Mountain Time. And I'm joined today by Max Reiner, who is the Director of Data Collections in the NDE's Office of Data Management and Application Development. And I am Katie Parch, the Director of the Child Nutrition Programs. And if you work in the programs, obviously you probably do because you're here today, you're familiar with me. I send communication about important information and requirements around the National School Lunch Program and sometimes about the Summer Food Service Program. And now we're also sharing with Department of Health and Human Services in Nebraska the role of administering the Summer Electronic Benefit Transfer Program for eligible students who are enrolled at schools that participate in the National School Lunch and/or Breakfast Program. And that is the focus of today's training. I just realized I'm somehow showing you the notes page. Hold on, or the notes view of my PowerPoint slides. This is the one we want. Thank you for letting me know that. Can someone give me a thumbs up? You see just the one big blue slide now, right?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, thank you, Max. Sorry, I didn't realize I'd done that. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Just a couple of housekeeping items. I can get my mouse to the correct spot here. Yeah, we encourage you to submit questions or concerns you have at any time you think of them in the Zoom chat. And at the conclusion of going through the PowerPoint training slides today, we will walk through those, talk about them, and respond to the ones that we know and have answers to. I recognize that we might not know answers to every question that you ask, and there are lots of different scenarios and things you might have questions about. And some of those might take just a little bit of time and conferring with DHHS, as well as the USDA's FNS regional and/or national office. But at the conclusion of both today's training as well as the one offered on May 6th, we will issue a written question and answers resource that will include questions that we receive as a result of this training, as well as the written answers for those, to give you a resource to refer to as you need to. We ask that you submit your questions, concerns you have about what kinds of students to include in your data upload for summer EBT benefits, as well as any issues you're having. That could include issues you've got with uploading your summer EBT data utilizing the portal that NDE has to the website you see on the screen here. nde.sebt@nebraska.gov is going to be our collection and repository location to make sure we take care of all the questions and concerns we receive. I want to make a note for schools wondering if they need to submit data for their eligible students, and the answer to that is yes. We really rely heavily on your partnership to be able to comply with the federal requirement to issue benefits to eligible students. And yeah, we'll talk more about what that requires, what that means, and who to include as we go through the presentation, but wanted to make sure you know that it is a federal requirement to issue benefits to families or households of eligible students who wish to receive them. And that's really an important role that you'll play in helping us to comply with that federal requirement. I also wanted to make a quick plug for the Summer Food Service Program. I want you to remember that as an NSLP participating school, the federal regulations have a citation that says those schools must promote the Summer Food Service Program, even if your school does not participate in the program. We encourage you to include in your normal communication channels to households of enrolled students, like a newsletter or your school website, a blurb that shares with folks information on how to receive information about sites nearest them. I am understanding, though, that in the most rural parts of Nebraska, a nearby site can be 30 or more miles away, not necessarily making it nearby. However, you would be required to provide proof that you comply with this requirement the next time your school has an administrative review of its school nutrition programs. And the blurb we encourage you to use is the one you see on the slide here. Text food or comida to 304304, or visit the hyperlinked text there, the SFSP site finder. And I think one really important thing I need you to help us communicate with households of your enrolled students is that the information necessary to populate useful site information in each of those resources won't be available in those databases until, comprehensively anyway, until after May 24th. Our applications require individual review and approval of nearly 200 or almost 250 different sites, and all of that takes a little time. They begin to trickle in the first week of May, but a comprehensive and most complete list will be available after May 24th. So if you try to find a location near you using those tools on the slide, you probably aren't going to find much right now. But the last week of May is when that begins to become much more comprehensive and complete and actual useful tools for locating information about Summer Food Service Program. And though the state is supporting the national program to issue summer EBT benefits, we also recognize that Summer Food Service Program sites can be very needed resources for support and just, trusted adults in locations they're comfortable with, because most of the sites that offer the SFSP are schools where kids go during the school year. We want to promote the program because we know it's a nice opportunity for them to get together to do something fun with their friends and get a nutritious meal. So summer EBT and the Summer Food Service Program together, we think, is a nice complementary way to help meet food security needs during the summer, but also to help meet some of those other needs that we know kids have when school's not in session. And on to the agenda for today, finally getting over there. Oops. We're going to cover very briefly summer EBT, including its background and the purpose. I will go in depth into great detail about which kinds of students qualify for summer EBT, and we'll also cover in detail information that you would have received in the email I sent on Monday, the 22nd of April, as well as again this morning, about how schools can help us issue those benefits by providing information for eligible students. And finally, I'll cover a few resources and frequently asked questions for schools and households alike. I know that won't cover every question you have, but I do have time at the end of the slides to make sure you have an opportunity to hear a response from us. And again, some of those we might have right here today. Others might take a little bit of consideration, thought, and research. But we will issue a written question and answer document after both of our trainings have been held to help ensure we can give comprehensive guidance to schools, helping provide necessary information. So the Summer Electronic Benefit Transfer Program, or SEBT, began as a demonstration project over a decade ago. The demonstration project issued benefits in two different amounts, either $30 a month for each of the covered summer non-school months or $60 per month. And research done at the conclusion of the demonstration project showed that both of those levels, both the lower and the higher, $30 and $60 per month allocations for each eligible student, improved both food security and increased fruit and vegetable consumption among the participating or recipient children. So we know when we talk about, you've probably heard me talk about this, we talk about food security. It's not just having food to fill a child's stomach or belly, right? It's the kinds of foods that we give them that also plays a role in helping ensure nutrition security. So this program that is now permanent was based on a demonstration project with associated research that showed it's effective in providing and supporting food security. So the permanent summer EBT program authorizes $40 per month per eligible student for 3 months of covered summer break. So for an eligible student, they would receive $120 per summer issued in a single card. And this is intended to meet their foods or help meet their food needs or nutrition needs when school meals are not available to them. And on average in Nebraska and across the nation, that is about 3 months of summer break. I want to point out a significant and important distinction between summer EBT and pandemic EBT or PEBT, which is a program that most in this room are likely familiar with. There is no COVID-related absence data that's collected. That is not a requirement of summer EBT. The funding sources for each of those is different. Pandemic EBT was allowed during a health emergency. Summer EBT is not dependent upon that, and it is a permanent program. So let's move on to looking a little bit more closely at who qualifies to receive the summer EBT benefits, so far as the kinds of students that you need to know about and be able to provide information for. There are two requirements for students to qualify. These are the students that you would be providing information to the NDE to vet or verify before we provide their information to DHHS to issue cards. First of all, students need to be enrolled in National School Lunch and or Breakfast Program participating schools, and that's all of you in this room. Every school you represent has an agreement with the NDE to participate in the National School Lunch and or Breakfast programs, and that is exactly why you're here. Students also must have documentation that they qualify for free or reduced price school meals in school year 23-24, and I have an extra 4 there. I'm just, I guess, seeing if you're paying attention, if I was paying attention when I wrote this. So this does not include any carryover benefits from school year 22-23 that do last into the first 30 days of a new school year. I'm sure you're familiar with carryover benefits. The documentation necessary to qualify a student to receive summer EBT needs to have been collected and determined in the current school year. Carryover benefits from the previous school year do not make a student eligible for summer EBT. You can include, or students eligible for summer EBT does include preschool or pre-kindergarten students who do have access to school meals, as well as have an identified qualification for free or reduced price meals. We want to caution you, though, that you would not include children who have an NDE or state ID because they receive services but also do not come to school. You might have some very young children who would be represented in your advisor data and have an NDE state ID, but who do not actually come to the school building and receive access to school breakfast and or lunch during the school year. And these are children you would not include in your summer EBT data upload to receive benefits for the program. So there are several ways that free or reduced price meals eligibility can be determined, and I'm sure you're familiar with these, but I wanted to run through them. These are also written, I hope, pretty clearly in the eligibility table I provided in the email about summer EBT last Monday, as well as again this morning. Obviously, those students who are directly certified or in the direct certification match list and identified for meal benefits are those who are categorically eligible to receive to receive summer EBT benefits. This would include students matched for SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, Medicaid free, Medicaid reduced, foster, migrant, and homeless. Those students who have had meal benefits extended to them because they live with a student in the direct certification match list for SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, Medicaid free, and Medicaid reduced are also eligible to receive summer EBT. Households with students who completed a school meals income eligibility application, where the income and household size provided indicated that students on the application are eligible for meal benefits, would also be eligible to receive summer EBT benefits. We have a fourth option available directly through the Nebraska Department of Education. That is the summer EBT application, which, as I noted, is processed by the Nebraska Department of Education for students in households who may not have any of the other three documented eligibility methods in place already. This application will be available after June 1st, however, and we do plan to provide you with information you can share on your website and through your school newsletters on what households who don't already have documented qualification or eligibility for summer EBT, what they might need to go to know, and where to receive resources related to applying for the benefits if they believe they're eligible. A special consideration here would be for community eligibility provision students or students enrolled at CEP schools. As you know, a community eligibility provision school provides meals at no cost to all of its enrolled students, but that does not necessarily mean that each of those enrolled students has their own individual free or reduced price meal eligibility documented, and that is a requirement of the summer EBT program. That is different from pandemic EBT. So we're switching gears just a little bit for CEP students, where we do need individual student eligibility documentation in order to identify who is eligible to receive summer EBT benefits. So obviously, community eligibility provision schools are students, at those schools are likely, some of them are going to be identified as eligible for summer EBT because they are directly certified or on the direct certification match list for SNAP, Medicaid free, TANF, and FDPIR. And I put those in green on the slide to help you remember, or maybe take a note. And again, this would go in an FAQ document we issue to you, that you don't need to take action on those students. We have that information between advisor data and data tables from which we get information about participation in those green text programs on the slide. You don't have to provide information for those students. If you're a large community eligibility provision school or district, and it is easier for you to include the directly certified students for SNAP, Medicaid free, I should also add Medicaid reduced, TANF, and FDPIR, it's easier to keep them all together, you can submit that information to us. We're not going to issue duplicate benefits. We have processes in place to eliminate that possibility. You do need, however, to provide us with information on individual students who are directly certified or matched for foster, homeless, or migrant status. Some CEP programs, schools, do provide alternate income applications to their students because maybe they offer benefits or discounts for certain other school activities. Typically, these alternate income applications gather the same information that a school meals program application does, including household size and total household income. They don't mention meal benefits in that application because that is not a benefit of completing that form if you have a student who attends a community eligibility provision school. And eligibility determinations made on these alternate applications would work for the purpose of providing that information on eligible students to receive summer EBT, as long as those determinations for a benefit are based on the same income eligibility guidelines that we have used in the school nutrition programs during school year 23-24. So I'm going to repeat this again if I need to. I know there's a lot of information and special considerations here, but I'm going to try to summarize it for CEP schools. You do need to have that individual student eligibility documentation. That can be direct certification match list information for students who qualify for SNAP, Medicaid, both free and reduced, TANF, FDPIR. Those students in green, you do not need to provide us information for in a summer EBT data upload in the portal. We have that information. However, if it's easier for you to put all of your free and reduced eligible students together, it's difficult to pull out the direct cert matches for those green identified programs there. You can include all of them. We will make sure duplicate benefits are not issued. We do need you to provide information for students who are directly certified or matched and identified as foster, homeless, or migrant, as well as any other students who have met the free and reduced meal eligibility requirements through an alternate income application if your CEP schools offer those. And I know not all of them do. For the CEP schools that do not have an alternate income application, students will have the option to complete a summer EBT application beginning on June 1st. And I wish that application was available for you to share with them now, but just the timeline of standing up the program and the required timeline and resource commitment, it would have been necessary for our data management and application development team. I mean, they wouldn't have been able, they didn't have the capacity with a short timeline to stand that or get that application up and ready before the covered summer period was even over. So we've chosen to purchase a program to help us comply with the requirement to offer a summer EBT application and hopefully get more eligible students approved to receive the benefit. The earliest we could do that is June 1st. So here's really where your role comes in, and I'm going to try to explain this in as great of detail as I can. If you are used to pandemic EBT data aggregation and upload, this isn't going to be too different from what you've experienced before. But if you're new to this, I understand there are a lot of details and considerations that are probably running through your mind. So obviously the steps to submit your data would be to review the data file requirements, and both of those are identified in the attachments of the email I sent on April 22nd and again this morning, where there's a PDF file rather that identifies the different data components or data pieces that we need schools to provide for each of the students that qualify for free or reduced price meals. Those data definitions are also found in one of the tabs in the summer EBT file upload, which is an Excel file. So review those. Obviously, if you've got a student information system, it's possible that the company or vendor that you have that through would be able to produce a report that's going to help simplify the aggregation and therefore submission of the information. You're going to populate the summer EBT template with every available piece of information that the template requests. And then you'll upload the summer EBT template into the NDE portal, just like you did for pandemic EBT benefits. And the portal is scheduled to open on May 3rd. This is a summary of the information I've provided in that email that I've referenced. And I know the text is very small, so I've broken this down into talking about each of those rows on the subsequent slides. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I'm going to move on and we'll cover the first row there. So the scenario or meal eligibility status for students who are directly certified for SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, Medicaid free, and Medicaid reduced for all schools, traditional, free, reduced, and paid meal operation, as well as community eligibility provision schools for students who are directly certified for the programs identified on the left-hand column of the slide. You don't need to take any action for those students to be to be issued benefits. Between advisor student enrollment data and DHHS data we received to do matching, we have enough information to issue cards to those households. However, as I mentioned earlier, if it would be difficult for your school to remove the directly certified for SNAP, TANF, FDPI, or the Medicaid programs from your full list of free and reduced eligible students, you can go ahead and include them. We do have processes in place to make sure duplicate benefits are not issued. If it is simple enough for you to provide to the NDE a list that does not include the directly certified for SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, or the Medicaid programs, you can go ahead and leave them out. We want to leave that at your discretion to do whatever is easier for your school when it comes to aggregating and providing this data. For students who are identified as foster, homeless, or migrant on the direct certification match list, we want to make sure that we issue benefit cards to the most current, correct, or most recently known address, and that might not be available through data that DHHS currently has. So we do ask that you include directly certified students for foster, homeless, or migrant in your summer EBT template, the data upload that you're going to provide through the NDE portal. For students who receive school meal benefits because someone matched for SNAP, Medicaid free, or Medicaid reduced receives benefits, those are extended to someone who they live with, another child in a household who they live with that is not on the match list. We don't know who those students are, right? I could have two children. One of them qualifies for Medicaid reduced benefits. For whatever reason, the second child living in my household is not on a school's match list. Therefore, I would extend the reduced meal price benefit to the second child, but DHHS and NDE don't know about that scenario. School districts and buildings do. Therefore, we need you to provide those extended meal benefit situations and identify who those students are in the summer EBT template so that we can issue benefits to those eligible students as well. So in a situation where a meal benefit has been extended to another child or other children in the household because they live with a student matched for SNAP, Medicaid free, or Medicaid reduced, those students definitely need to be included in your summer EBT template. Or data submission might be another way to say that, utilizing the template. Okay, for students who qualify for free or reduced price school meals because they submitted a meal application that was determined to be eligible based on household size and income, or because they provided a master case number for SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR, we also need those to be included in your upload for summer EBT benefits by including them in that template that you're going to upload in the portal. Again, we don't know any information about those students. They don't have household information or mailing address in any other database we've got. You have that information and we need to receive it from you. And I'm going to cover CEP just one more time. Again, it's at the bottom of the table and that I included in the email, which is exactly where this information has come from. Remember, for CEP school students only, those students who are identified as eligible for free or reduced price meals based on an alternative application that collects information on both household size and household income can and should be included in your summer EBT template are the data you upload into the portal. That is a way that we can identify eligible students. For households, again, who have students that don't meet any of the criteria we've talked about that you would utilize or include for summer EBT upload, we will have available the summer EBT application, which will be distributed, collected, and determined by staff of the NDE. And information about that will be forthcoming, but we do know the application is slated to be available beginning June 1st and will be open for the entire summer period when school is out. So they can apply at any time during the summer break. Here is what that data template looks like. And I put a nice green box around the definitions just to make sure you understand exactly what we're looking for. Some of those pieces and most of those pieces of information are required. There are 2 optional items though, parent phone and parent email address. I recognize that not all schools have that information. If you have it, we would love to receive it, especially email address. The NDE is required to issue notification of benefit letters. And for a very, very, very large number of benefit letters for us to issue, utilizing electronic communication is the most efficient way for us to make that happen. And using and having access to email addresses for households with students who qualify and will receive summer EBT would be the most effective and efficient way for us to provide that information and to comply with that federal requirement to notify households that they're eligible to receive and will receive a summer EBT card. This is just a quick screenshot of the portal. And if you completed and submitted pandemic EBT information, this is going to look very familiar. The former PEBT application has been renamed SEBT file upload. And as I mentioned earlier, the portal is slated to open and accept those uploads on May 3rd. The first submission deadline is going to be May 17th. And that is a change. It's a few days earlier than the date identified in the email I sent on April 22nd. It was decided we need a little bit more time to make sure we can issue those benefit notification letters to households of recipient students before those cards are mailed. We want to make sure they should anticipate receiving that card and approximately when it's going to arrive in the mail. So files that you submit using last summer's PEBT file upload format that had 16 columns would still be accepted. You would just not include data in the final 2 columns, or if you happen to include data for some reason, it would be ignored. We do, of course, prefer that you use the template I provided in the email last week as well as this morning. But if you happen to upload utilizing the old option, we just would ignore the right 2 columns, which had some of that pandemic EBT related data collection associated with it. Upload instructions as well as the SEBT template are available in the app. So if you don't retrieve them from an email that I send, or they would be accessible also through the Nutrition Services homepage. If neither of those options is the easiest for you, you can certainly grab those resources directly from the app as well. So I've got a few resources and frequently asked questions for households and schools, and we don't plan to rely heavily on schools to answer every detailed question about summer EBT, but we do recognize that providing you with some of the most basic and maybe important or most common questions and answers is going to be important, because we know households tend to reach out to the school at which their child or children are enrolled. And so giving you some information you can pass on, I hope will be helpful to you. Again, we don't intend to have this be a significant burden for your staff, but we just recognize you might receive some questions and inquiries. So for your information, the data submission deadlines are in the left-hand column. And for yours as well as household, like just being informed, summer EBT card issuance dates and expungement dates are located in the middle and right-hand columns respectively. So there is no first data submission deadline for the planned summer EBT card issuance that will take place on May 28th. Those cards are being issued to students matched for SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, and the 2 types of Medicaid that also correlate with school nutrition program benefits, free reduced price meals. And every card needs to have its funds entirely used within 122 days of issuance. So that's what the expungement date column represents. Cards will be processed, issued, mailed on May 28th, but could take up to 10 days to reach the address at which they need to be delivered. So there is a little bit of a window there. They're not going to receive the card on May 28th if they were directly certified for SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, or the Medicaid options. Now, the data submission column does become important for schools. If you submit data by May 17th, incomplete, right? No missing information, all complete, all looks good. Those students identified in the May 17th submission would be issued a card on June 20th. The card would arrive within approximately 10 days of the June 20th issuance date. For schools that submit data after May 17th, as in May 18th, until approximately June 13th, those cards would be issued to students identified in data uploads provided in that May to June window on July 19th. After June 13th, but before approximately August 13th, those cards would be issued on May 20th. Again, would receive them within about 10 days after August 20th. And then we have one final issuance that will go out or be processed on September 10th. So the date by which you submit complete summer EBT information for your enrolled students is important because it helps us and DHHS issue benefit cards during the covered summer period when they are intended to be used. So taking advantage of those earlier data submission dates is going to be really helpful for us and for families with eligible students. Also included in this would be any summer EBT applications that are directed to the NDE and processed by us for households with students who did not have that school year 23-24 free or reduced price meal eligibility designation. So we'll be utilizing these issuance dates too, based on the rolling intake or receipt of applications that have qualifying information for students as well. I know that some students are enrolled at a home school, right? A school district that participates in the NSLP, but they might attend their school day at an educational service unit. Those ESUs do not need to submit student data. We would expect that the home school at which the student is enrolled and would have documentation of free or reduced price meal eligibility would be the school responsible for including those students in their summer EBT upload. But it's, of course, we advise you to communicate. If you're an ESU or vice versa, we just advise both of those entities to communicate with each other to decide who is submitting that data. One of you needs to do it. If both of you did it, it would be okay. As I've mentioned earlier, we have ways of removing duplicate data, but it's going to make everyone's life easier if you communicate with each other to make sure you're both on the same page with an understanding that the home school at which the student is enrolled is going to include those free and reduced eligible students in their data upload for the benefits of summer EBT. You might be asked a few questions or just like to know this for your awareness. The entire benefit amount will be issued on one card at one time. For students who submit a summer EBT application mid-summer, they're still going to receive the full benefit amount of $120. Households can opt out of their SEBT issuance. This information is forthcoming. The form to complete to opt out will be available on the DHHS SEBT website, and we'll make sure we provide that information to you in case it's useful for you to provide that to any households of eligible students. Cards will be automatically issued for those directly certified match students. I mentioned that before. That's going to be part of that very first issuance that takes place on May 28th. That will include those directly certified students, the ones matched for SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, and the 2 types of Medicaid. The other free or reduced eligible students need to have that data submitted to the NDE by their school district, and we covered that in great detail when I broke down into individual slides those rows of the comprehensive eligibility table. We want to make sure we're providing both schools and households appropriate support for summer EBT. We understand we're all going to have to exercise patience as we begin a brand new program. There, of course, will be growing pains and probably some lessons learned as well. It is our goal to be able to provide prompt customer service and support that helps you fulfill this requirement. For school staff who have data submission questions, upload issues, anything related to summer EBT that originates at the school, you are welcome to and encouraged to utilize the email address you see on the slide here, nde.sebt@nebraska.gov. Household questions, concerns, and inquiries, of course, are going to be directed to schools in some cases, and we want to be able to help you there. So feel free, again, to ask those questions utilizing the nde.sebt@nebraska.gov email address. But we also know that DHHS is set up with some very nice resources to provide support to households who have questions about their benefit card and so on. There's a phone number and an email address that we'll make sure we provide to you that you can provide to your households utilizing newsletters and maybe your school website. But it's important to give them information, households information they need to be able to receive a prompt answer and a complete answer. So providing more details is better. And some of those details are identified on the slide here, right? We want to know almost everything from them or from you that you would have included in a summer EBT upload of data for any student affected by summer EBT or questions you have about those benefits for individual students. So those things we're asking schools to provide us would be the same types of information we're asking from households in order to provide the best customer service we can. That includes parent first and last name, mailing address, phone number and email address, the child or children's first and last names, dates of birth, which are necessary to activate summer EBT cards, the school building and the school district at which they were enrolled, and then obviously a brief summary of the issue they're wondering about. But you don't need to memorize this from the slide. We will provide this information in writing to you so you can pass it on in appropriate communication channels you have as well. And now I have moved on to the final, probably most important component of today's webinar. I appreciate your attention over the last 45 minutes. I am going to stop share here and make my way through the questions we've received in the chat. Yeah, Gail asked if it's recorded, and Haley kindly said yes. Thank you very much. Okay, do pre-K students qualify if you don't normally feed them during the school year? And Gail, maybe I would need you to come off mute or clarify that. They might come for a half day, but don't have access to any of the meals while at school, correct? I think that's right. I'll wait for Gail to respond, and maybe she's at the bottom.
She said yes in the chat.
Oh, she did. Thank you. Yeah, you're correct that those students don't need to be included in the data upload. They don't normally have access to school meals, and that is the purpose of the summer EBT program, is to help sort of fill that food security need when school meals aren't available. So If pre-K students have access to meals during their school day, right, they're counted and claimed through the NSLP. Those are the kinds of students that you would include in your summer EBT upload, as long as you have documentation that they qualify for free or reduced price meals. Good question. Jordan in Boone Central wants to confirm that the benefit amount is $120 per family or per student. I'm sorry if my information was not clear. It's $120 per eligible student. So for households with more than one student, the total summer EBT benefit is going to be 120 multiplied by the number of eligible students in the home. Caroline in Ogallala asks if you've got a pre-K kiddo, but not enrolled in pre-K. He comes to school for services, but doesn't eat at school. He is receiving reduced price meals from, because he's directly certified. Are you saying he populates your match list, Caroline,
Yes.
but you're not actually feeding him?
Yes, that is true.
Correct.
We are feeding him.
Oh, you are, but let's take that. I'm going to think about that one for just a little bit, because you said he does
So
not eat at school.
No, he does eat at school. I'm sorry, I typed that wrong. He does eat at school.
But not enrolled in the pre-K program. I'm going to make a note of that one. Not technically enrolled, but obviously he's got an NVE ID, and you do feed
Correct,
him.
because we do provide special ed services for him.
Thank you. And he eats with all the other kids during mealtime?
Yes.
Okay. I'm writing that one down. I'll have to research that answer. I just don't want to give you bad information. Leanne in Grand Island says she feels that some of the CEP school households will not know to fill out the summer EBT application until after the funds are sent out and they didn't receive a card. That word of mouth communication that we know happens. Yep. Sorry, my little thing is like in the way here. I don't know what it's doing. So June 1st to 15th may not be long enough to fill out the application. The application for summer EBT specifically, or that application in and of itself, the one that we process, the NDE processes, will be available for the entire summer period, more than just the 1st through the 15th. So I understand my table that I displayed earlier could cause the confusion I think you're feeling or experiencing, or that made you ask the question. But that SEBT application will be open and available for households to complete at any time during the summer break for the full duration of the summer. So hopefully that will help us be able to identify eligible students and issue benefits to the most number that we can. What about students who are directly certified from MRED? Yeah, thank you, Max. You answered that because I failed to put Medicaid reduced on one of those slides, and I will fix that. Do you want to read any of these, Max, the ones you've provided answers for?
No, I was just filling in answers to the ones I wasn't sure we would remember what that was referring to, and I'm typing in the answers as you go.
Thank you. Yeah, and Lois asked, since we already have the directly certified students, the only information a school would need to send are the ones for applications for free or reduced price meal benefits, where the determination was that the students identified in the application are eligible for meal benefits. Is that correct? Yeah, Max agreed that's true for most of the directly certified students, but not all. It's true for SNAP, TANF, FDP-IR, and Medicaid. Yep, but not true for foster, homeless, and migrant. We still do need you to provide individual student information for students matched for foster, homeless, and migrant, as well as any situations where benefits were extended because a student lives with another student matched for SNAP, TANF, FDP-IR, or Medicaid free or reduced. Angela asked, alternative application. I'm trying to recognize your name, Angela, and think what school you're with. But if your schools or none of your schools operate the community eligibility provision where the students all receive meals at no cost, you don't need to be concerned with an alternative application. That applies only to CEP schools, and it's an application where a household might complete it and report all of the same information they do on a meals application. But the purpose of that application is to provide a benefit or discount of some type that is based on the school nutrition program's eligibility requirements. So if you're not, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought you were done. But I was about to say, I believe she's at Scottsbluff.
Said what? Sorry.
I believe she's at Scottsbluff, by the way.
Oh, sure. You do. Thank you for noting that. Yes, you do have some CEP schools, Angela. And there's a very good chance because your CEP schools, I think, are all elementaries and maybe run one preschool, that you don't utilize an alternative application because usually in younger grades, it's not something that's needed. It's more common in school buildings that are upper grades or schools where it's like a K through 12 school, where all of the students K through 12 are CEP students are eligible that way and receive no cost meals that way, where high school students receive discounts on maybe the ACT or discounts on freshman year of college, like fees and services that are normally charged for, and their free or reduced eligibility provides documentation to the issuing entity of their qualification for a discount or benefit that's based on school meals income eligibility guidelines. But again, you've got younger grades, so I don't imagine you use an alternative application. Tina asked if the extra children that live in a household where directly certified qualified children live, do they still need to be added to the template if they're a sibling? Well, the answer is yes. If the sibling is not on the match list, then yeah, include the sibling in your summer EBT data upload. When can families expect to receive the cards, and where can we direct them if they don't receive them? Yeah, for the directly certified students, they can expect to receive the card soon after that first issuance date of May 28th. For other students who qualify because of extended benefits, a meal application, or foster, homeless, or migrant, they would expect to receive their cards soon after June 20th. Well, yeah. And where can you direct them if they don't receive the cards? And I will put in writing for you those email and phone number resources and as well as information that we would want to have included in inquiries to help provide prompt customer service in my next follow-up message after the training. So you could copy that and paste it into communication that you might provide to households. Amanda says you have students who are matched but have younger siblings at home. Can we add them to receive benefits as well? The answer to that is no. If they're not enrolled at your school, don't come to school, don't get meals from school during the school year, you would not include them. Similar scenario, right, where you have a student enrolled in your NSLP participating school and maybe a younger or older sibling enrolled at a non-public school that does not do the school lunch program, you would include for us information only on the student enrolled at your school because they're eligible for free or reduced price meals and because your school participates in the NSLP. You wouldn't include any information for a card issuance of a student who isn't enrolled at your school. So if they're younger than school age, even though they might have an NDE ID or state ID, might be on the match list because they've got that ID, and they probably have that because they receive special support services. They're not coming to school to receive benefits. They should not be included in the data submission. Grace asks for CEP students who qualified on the direct cert list or have extended benefits. Yep, good. Then they will be in there in the extended benefit or DC list we will provide. Do they have to be listed on an alternative application list? And the answer to that is no. Just them being on the direct cert match list or living with a student in the match list is enough for us. And again, if you're CEP, you don't have to complete the template with the match student information. We have that. You would want to complete the template for any situations where a student has benefits extended because they live with someone matched for SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, or Medicaid free or reduced. Okay, you want to give us that information because we don't know who those kids are. You want to give us information for students who are matched for foster, migrant, or homeless. This is for any school, CEP or not, right? And then specific to CEP schools, you would also obviously want to give us information for students who did complete an alternative application if you make one available. Not only who completed it, but your determination on that application showed that they qualify for free or reduced price meals utilizing the same income guidelines that non-CEP schools use. Send your questions to the summer EVT inbox. I'll put that on the screen again here in a minute and put it in the chat too, so you can copy and paste it somewhere on your computer and have it handy. But when you're coming back to your template, trying to recall exactly who to include, we'll put the table up on the website, refer to what we've provided you in email. And if neither of those really put you at ease with your decision, feel free to email that inbox or email me directly, and we will get an answer back to you quickly to help you make the correct decisions. Thank you for answering these, Max. If a parent or guardian has different last names and or addresses, how do we want you to load that? And I'm so glad Max and Melissa are both here. The primary parent, right? The one they're going to live with and be with for a majority of the summer.
Yeah, if you just mean that if a parent or guardian has a different last name than the student, that's not a problem at all. Obviously, we're looking for the address of the parent or guardian to issue the card to. So I'm not sure if you mean different address than the student, or if you're referring to, you know, two parents that live separately. I know there's another question coming up about that. You know, we're looking for the address. The address you give us for the parent or guardian is where a card would be issued.
Thank you, Max. Would the card include the 3-month total payment per student? Yep, they're going to get the full benefit when the card is issued. Max asked a great question that I should clarify the answer for. No, districts don't have to submit their file by May 17th. It's kind of like rolling deadline. The earlier the better because of the timely issuance of the cards to the households for the period during which they're not able to access meals through their school. But we'll accept your submission anytime and we'll provide the benefits in the next issuance date closest to your submission date that we can. So if the 5/17 date doesn't work, that is okay. We'll issue the benefits the next, like I said, the next available issuance date that we're able to. Sherry is from Chase County. She said if she understands correctly, migrant students must be listed even though they're on the match list. And Max, you can confirm, I think, but that is correct. They should be included in their upload.
Yeah, that is correct. In the direct certification system, we do not have addresses for those students. So we need you to submit that.
Thank you. Sonia asked, do we still need the NDE school agency ID? She says it's not on the template. I better go back and look at this.
Yeah, and this is something we just noticed yesterday that on the definitions tab in the template, it shows the school ID. We just took that off. We'll be updating the template on our side. So no, the school agency ID field at the end of the template was removed, as well as, if you remember last year, we had the number of days missed for COVID absences. That's also been removed. So the template has 14 columns now instead of 16. However, I can note that we are coding the system so that even if you submit a template with 15 or 16 columns, like in the old format, we will just ignore that extra data in the columns on the far right. So yes, this is what it should look like once we get the updated template in place. You should just see 14 columns here.
Thank you, Max. And Grace asks, so that SEBT application exclusively for households with kids who don't have that school year 23-24 documented free or reduced price meal eligibility. Do they go to you, to us, to NDE, or do schools process those? And the answer to that is NDE staff will distribute, administer, process, and send benefit issue or notification letters to those households. So school staff have no role or responsibility in the SEBT application that will be available during the summer break. Good question, Grace. So the list for all the dates Lois asked will be the same unless we receive applications after June 1st. And Lois, I think the answer to that is, let me go show the slide first of all. I think I know the one you're referring to. This one. Okay. I think this one here. And I got to go back to your question. Might have missed it. Oh, here you go. No, it's right after that.
So this is Lois.
Yeah.
So let me explain. So I'm thinking all the kids I put on the list will be the same with migrant, everything, unless we get added applications after June 1st, correct?
You wouldn't, that's true, but because we're accepting and processing applications specifically for summer EBT after June 1st, I don't think after your upload that would encompass all the kids you had documentation for eligibility in school year 23-24. During the covered summer period, I can't imagine you need to submit any information or data.
Okay.
Us, because they'd be submitting that SEBT application through NDE.
Okay, because we do have walk-ins and things like that come in with their applications.
Before July 1st?
Do we have applications? I don't know if they come in before July 1st or not, but if they probably wouldn't.
In theory, they shouldn't, because at that
Okay.
point in time, people are wanting to probably submit an application for the upcoming school year's benefits.
Okay.
And really, you shouldn't be accepting those till after July 1st when the new income eligibility guidelines are effective anyway.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I think stated another way, and like you mentioned this in one of the slides, we are looking for students that qualified for the 23-24 school year applications or direct certification there. And so, yeah, generally those are going to be 24-25 students.
That's a very good way to say that. Thank you, Max. Jolene, I think I'm on the next one. Is Jolene next? I hope I didn't miss one.
Amy Schneider, and after Lois.
And did Lois. I don't see Amy for some reason. Oh, Tina. I missed Jolynn, perhaps. I might have skipped her. NDE does have an alternative, a template for alternative income form for CEP schools. So that's recent development. And we will make sure we send that out to CEP schools in the summer, along with a packet of other information. Okay, moving on. Sorry, Amy. Oh, Jamie? No. Did I do Heather?
I'm not sure where you're at.
Yeah, I'm at 10:54.
Let me see what order I have these in.
I don't know
So
why.
at 10:40,
Okay,
Amy
thank you.
Shireman asked, I'm not sure if it's been asked, if we have a split family and the student splits time 50-50, will there only be one card issued to one of the households, or how do we determine that?
That's a great question. Does your student information system identify a primary parent when there's a 50-50 situation? I guess my other piece of advice on that might be to contact the primary parent or guardian if that's identified, and maybe ask them what the plan is for the summertime, because their students eligible to receive this card, and you want to make sure it goes to the household that has probably going to spend the most of the time with this eligible student. I'll write that down though. Try to get you a more definite answer. Okay. Thank you, Max. Bobby asked, what's the phone center? Will this phone center be manned by NDE employees who answer questions? The call center is DHHS's call center. And I know Melissa Weir is here. She is the director administrator of Summer EBT. And I know that their team provided training to call center employees to help give them information they need to respond to questions they receive from households. So without as many kind of like changes in the program like we experienced with PEBT, Summer EBT being, of course, new, but not experiencing the kind of, year to year sort of changes that pandemic EBT did, and us having learned some best practices from coordinating and collaborating with DHHS through the pandemic EBT program experience. We're better prepared to be able to provide those staff members as well as you with information you need to know. And so they've got a really comprehensive communication and technical assistance plan. So if you have students that are homeschooled but live in the district, include them in the form. And the answer is definitely not. They're not enrolled at an NSLP school, therefore they're not eligible to receive summer EBT benefits. And even if these households completed a summer EBT application during the covered summer period, we would vet that information to ensure that student is enrolled at an NSLP participating school in order to verify they are in fact eligible, or in homeschool case not eligible, to receive the summer EBT benefits. Correct, Gail and Max, you've had this exchange about the pre-K kids who might qualify for free or reduced price meals, maybe because of a household application, being on the match list, or being a sibling of a student on the match list. If they're not receiving meals during their pre-K or preschool school day, they're not an NSLP student, right? They don't, it's intended to meet needs when school's not in session. However, I mean, there is definitely nuance here, but it's not anything that would impact the data you need to submit. It's possible that an older pre-K student is of the compulsory school age in Nebraska and participates in SNAP. Those students or those kinds of children are eligible to receive summer EBT, but but DHHS already has all of that information. So that's nothing that a school is responsible for submitting to us. Kim is a CEP school. If you want to notify families, they'll need to complete an SEBT application after June 1st. What web address do we direct them to? It will be the nutrition services email address. And it's on my list to provide that as part of the FAQ information, you'd be able to copy and paste into your usual communication channels to share that information. And that all of our suite of summer EBT resources, questions and answers, upload instructions, upload template, link to the summer EBT application when it's available are on the nutrition services homepage, hopefully very easy to identify or to locate. Yep, I'll research that one, Caroline. Sorry, I've had to go back up to catch some of these. Max, you've done a great job. I think Jolene is one. I did respond to her. Maxie responded to Tina. Okay, Leanne. I answered yours about processing summer EBT apps. Heather, my most recent answer described how we'll provide you with information you can give to households for the summer EBT application. Oh, Lisa has such a nice comment for Max and me. Thank you. Yep. Max responded to Jamie. Yep, and Jan, you're correct that all schools that do NSLP are required to promote the summer food service program, even if you do not operate it. Can the promotion be done on your school website, or does a letter need to be sent out? And you can utilize your school website. Just post that information there. And I will copy that from the slide and put it at the bottom of the chat here shortly so that you can copy it, save it on your computer somewhere, and then copy it onto your website when you have a chance. Amanda asked a question. Students who are directly certified but have younger siblings at home. Oh, we answered that. And Max, you put an answer in writing. Thank you. Chris says they have non-public students who take a few classes with the public school and they stay and eat lunch. Do you include those students? Chris, is this a situation in O'Neill, right? Where you charge the school they're enrolled at, the non-public, for the meals they receive?
No, we actually claim them through they eat at our building. They qualify for free. So they just stay and eat at our building. So I claim them with the rest of my kids because they're enrolled at that time.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. Is it St. Mary's?
I have St. Mary's and then I have Word of Life as well. I have both places that do.
Okay. I'm going to research that one. I think St. Mary's participates in NSLP, but I don't think that other non-public does.
No, I know Word of Life doesn't, and I'm positive St. Mary's does. Yes, they participate in NSLP. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to research that one, and then I will get back to you. Just what to do with those, specifically the Word of Life kids. And I think St. Mary's would obviously include those students who might eat lunch at your building on some or all of the days just because they happen to be there at that time. They would probably include, St. Mary's would include those students in their data upload, but the Word of Life ones, that's the one I'm not sure on because it's not an NSLP school. So
I think I'll just take them off because I don't, yeah. And St. Mary's, yeah, you're right. I probably wouldn't have to because they're going to do it.
I would agree with you. And that was my hunch, was to take those Word of Life students out. Yeah, because it's not an NSLP school, but I wanted to at least look into it but if you're okay with that answer, I would go that way too.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. That's a good question. And Max answered Grace's question, which I think we talked about as well. And we responded on Robin's answer too. And we're going to look into that 50-50 custody thing just a little bit more. But if your system identified a primary parent, then it might be the one you choose to include in the data submission for the card issuance. Yep. And and Max responded that the card includes the 3-month total in a single initial issuance. And that's correct. And Katie has a family that options into a private school but receives services from your staff. public school staff, but when they're at the private school.
And this is the St. Mary's, they're St. Mary's kids also.
Oh, okay.
So that would probably, St. Mary's would be reporting them.
Exactly. Yeah. Great question. You asked if they have to submit a file on 5/17. You answered that, and that's a no. Anytime you can get it together as early as possible would be great, of course, for time issuance. Answered Sherry's question about migrant students and Jordan's, Sonia and the NDE school building ID. Renee, I don't think we've answered yours. You've got a preschool, a daycare at Potter Dix. Those schools are served meals. And those students are served meals and students on the match list. And those meals are claimed through the NSLP, Renee? Or are they claimed through CACFP?
I guess I'm not sure if Potter Dix Early Learning Facility claims them.
Okay. Maybe research that, and if you don't mind, send me an email when you have the answer about who or which program they're claimed in. That might help us make a determination on whether you would include those.
Okay, will do.
Okay, thank you. We answered the homeschool student. Janae asked a family on the match list, but a couple of them homeschool and only come for one class at the school. They don't eat lunch. So yeah, they're homeschooled. They would not be included in your summer EBT data. Not sure if I've covered this, but you're wondering if there is a household that has a senior graduating this year, but then also has younger children who aren't enrolled yet. Would they still receive a card? The senior who's graduating was enrolled and eligible for free or reduced price meals in school year 23-24. So yep, you would want to include those in your summer EBT data for issuance of a card for that student or benefits for that student. For the younger kids who are not enrolled in school yet, you don't need to include them. They're not participating or enrolled in an NSLP school just yet. Good question. Lois asked, did we respond to Lois? We did. Thank you, Max. Andrew at LPS asked, what will the application with NDE look like? What kind of information will be asked of the family that they need to fill out? Just so you have an idea of about the process. It's pretty similar to what we would collect in an NSLP application. A couple of the differences would be some optional components we want to collect, like email address, phone number, which of their contact methods is preferred. An optional question, I think, is also their preferred language. The SEBT application, I believe, does not have the optional question about the last four numbers of the Social Security number. I'll make sure I include those pieces of information that will be included in the application, along with identifying which are required and which are optional in written guidance and in a frequently asked question. So great question, Andrew. Thank you for asking. That would be helpful if your staff is aware of that. I'm scrolling down because I know we've answered some of these, and thanks for putting those in writing, Max. Is there a form somewhere to send to families on how to go about applying? And again, we'll put it in FAQ. It'll be on the Nutrition Services homepage near the top, and just like a section of information exclusive to summer EBT, hopefully very easy to find front and center. But there will just be a hyperlink there that they can use to access an electronic application. There will also be an option for a PDF application that folks can print and then either mail or scan and email if the electronic version is not something that they're able to complete for whatever reason. Yep, Caroline, I can explain again if you need to do anything for homeschool students. And the simple answer on that one is no, they're not enrolled at a school that participates in the NSLP. So homeschooled students should not be included in your data submission. Roxanne, on pre-K students, they stay and eat when they attend. Some do and some don't. Oof. they're claimed, like they're included in your monthly claim for reimbursement through NSLP, Roxanne?
Yes,
Okay. Let's see here.
if they eat.
My hunch is to say, yeah, include them, because I mean, you could even have a kindergarten through 12th grader be eligible for free or reduced price meal benefits, obviously enrolled in an NSLP school, but spend lots of days bringing their own lunch for whatever reason, and you would still want to include them. So they're enrolled at your school, they would receive or have access to meals through the NSLP, then yes, you would include them in your data upload for benefits.
Okay.
Good
Thank you.
question. Thank you. One. Trisha Willis, you want to be added to the email list? Yes. I think I have your email through the Zoom registration, so I'll go grab it from there. If a family's on the match list, a couple of them homeschool now. We must have covered that one. Thank you, Max, for writing the answer. How do I keep going back up? I don't understand my chat box. Okay.
Sometimes when I reply, it goes to the bottom, but
Okay. Have I covered them all? Does anyone have an outstanding unanswered question? Max, do you notice any? Danielle, I've got you. Thank you. Your email address, that is. LPS.
as far as I could see, we covered everyone.
Okay. 8 minutes to spare, right? I was hopeful we'd be able to get through the content and answer lots of your good questions in the time allocated to us. So I'll summarize today's session by saying I'm going to make a couple of tweaks, including correcting a year in the slides, and I will send those as follow-up to those who registered for and or attended today's training. Having the visual resource, I hope, will be helpful to you. Aggregate the questions you've put in the chat along with some answers. Put those together with any new questions and answers we provide after Monday's training session, which again is a repeat of this. If you attended today, you do not also need to come on May 6th. You can, but you don't have to. We'll aggregate questions and answers from today and next week, issue a written frequently asked questions, add that to the resources available on the page, and we'll make sure to include some language and a communication that we think you could hopefully kind of copy and paste in order to communicate summer EBT information with your households. Yeah. Stick around if you have other questions you just want to ask in a small group or one-on-one. Feel free, please. I meant to put the summer EBT email address in the chat, and I'll do that right now. Yeah, and everyone else, please feel free to go about your day. Thanks again so much for your time and attention today. We appreciate it. I'm getting here. What is wrong with my computer? It's not copying this. This doesn't want me to put this in here, apparently. Please. Renee, are you still here? Looking. Renee, yeah, you are. So you responded. Thanks for letting me know they're claimed through CACFP. And if that's the case, you wouldn't include those pre-K daycare kids whose meals are CACFP meals in your SEBT data for issuance of benefits. Thank you for finding that information. Heather, maybe I did not respond to this question because I feel like I saw you ask it, but I must have gotten moved around in the chat box. Schools are not required to send out a letter notifying eligible families that they're going to receive summer EBT benefits. That is our job, to issue that notification letter. You would be welcome to publish in your usual communication methods that free or reduced price eligible students will receive $120 in summer EBT, that you're responsible for submitting that information to the NDE, that they don't need to like take any action or make any phone calls. I'm going to make sure we include that information in the FAQs and related resources and communication we think is going to be helpful to you to provide to households. But please feel free to tweak that in any way you need. But an official letter will be issued by the NDE. Okay. Thanks for your additional questions. Reach out if you have any concerns or questions in the next few weeks. Thanks.